My name is Lara. I am 29 years old. I live in a small flat in Berlin, Germany. I do not have many friends. I do not have a big family. Most days, I am alone. Some people like being alone. I do not. It makes my mind loud. Sometimes I think too much. Sometimes I feel too much. That is where my story begins. I was not always like this. I used to laugh more. I used to smile more. But something changed inside me. I started to get angry very fast. When people spoke to me in the wrong way, I felt heat in my face. When they ignored me, I felt like I was not real. I did not stop to think. I just reacted. I spoke fast. I shouted. I walked away. At first, I thought it was normal. I thought I was just strong. But I was not strong. I was breaking things without knowing it. It started with small things. One day, I was at a cafe. A woman behind me touched my arm by mistake. I turned and said, "Watch it." She looked at me with sad eyes. She said, "I'm sorry." But I didn't say anything back. I just walked away. I felt bad later, but I told myself it didn't matter. Then it started to happen at home. My neighbor played music one night. It was not very loud, but I was tired. I went to his door and shouted. He said, "Okay, sorry." But he looked afraid. I saw fear in his eyes. That made me stop. I went back to my flat and sat down. I asked myself, why do I act like this? But I didn't know the answer. The biggest change happened 1 year ago. I was close to my younger cousin. Her name is Rena. She was sweet and always kind. She helped me with small things. She called me often. She sent me food when I was sick. I loved her. But one day, she made a small joke. We were eating lunch. I was talking about a man I liked. She laughed and said, "You always fall too fast." Everyone at the table laughed. I didn't. I stood up and said, "You think you are better than me?" Her face changed. I said more things. Mean things. Things I did not mean. The room went quiet. Rena looked down. Then she left. I waited for her to call me. I waited for her to say sorry. But she didn't. 2 weeks passed. Then a month. I saw pictures of her with other people. I was not in her world anymore. I missed her so much. I wanted to say sorry, but I didn't know how. I had hurt her too much. And I knew it was not her fault. It was mine. I was angry. I was fast. I was loud. And now I was alone again. Time went on. I tried to forget. But the same thing happened again. This time with my friend Tia. We met at a small shop. She said hello and gave me a hug. Then she asked, "Are you okay? You look tired." I don't know why, but I felt angry. I said, Don't tell me how I look." She was quiet. She said, "I didn't mean to upset you." I said, "I don't care." Then I left the shop without saying goodbye. Later that night, I sat on my bed and cried. I asked myself, why do I do this? I knew Tia cared about me. She did nothing wrong. But again, I broke something good. I began to feel afraid of myself. I started to keep quiet. I stopped going out. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to lose anyone else. But that made things worse. I felt lonely. I felt sad all the time. I missed the people I hurt. I missed who I used to be. I didn't know how to stop the pain inside me. I didn't know how to stop my anger before it started. One evening, I went to the park. I sat on a bench. I watched the trees move in the wind. A child ran past me. She laughed and looked at the sky. Her joy was simple. I wanted to feel that again. I wanted to feel light, but my heart was heavy. I thought about my cousin. I thought about Tia. I wanted to go back and change everything, but I couldn't. I knew one thing now. I could not keep living like this. I had to change. That night I looked in the mirror. I looked tired. My eyes looked older than my age. I touched my face and whispered, "I want peace." I meant it. I didn't want to win fights. I didn't want to be right. I just wanted to feel calm. I wanted to speak kindly. I wanted people to feel safe near me. I wanted to stop losing everything because of my anger. The next day, I made tea and sat by the window. The sun was soft. The street was quiet. I didn't turn on my phone. I didn't open the news. I just sat and breathed. I told myself, when you feel the heat, stop. When you feel the fire, wait. Don't speak. Don't move. Just pause. That was the start. It was not easy, but it was a small step. And I knew if I wanted to stop losing people, I had to stop reacting fast. I had to learn how to feel without hurting. I had to learn how to speak without shouting. I had to learn how to hold pain and not pass it to someone else. Something in me was ready now. Not for noise, not for power, but for peace. Before I share the rest of my story, I need to know, where are you listening from? Knowing someone hears me, understands me, gives me strength. The next morning I woke up early. I felt quiet inside. Not happy, not sad, just still. I made tea and watched the sky. A bird sat on my window. It flew away after a few seconds. I smiled. I was ready to try again. I wanted to be better. I wanted to stop hurting people I cared about. I didn't want to feel sorry all the time. That day, I went to the small shop near my house. I saw the same woman who worked there. She smiled and said, "Good morning." I said, Morning. Then I paused. I added, sorry for last time. She looked surprised. It's okay, she said. Her voice was warm. She smiled again. I felt something new. I felt light. It was the first time I said sorry in a long time. After that, I began to practice silence. Not the cold kind, not the kind that shuts people out, but the kind that gives me space. When someone said something rude, I stayed quiet. I looked at the ground. I counted slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After 5 seconds, the feeling passed. The fire went down. I could think again. I didn't speak until I felt calm. One day, I saw a man at the bus stop. He looked upset. He was talking to someone on the phone. He was shouting. I stood far away. Then, by mistake, I stepped on his foot. Watch it! He shouted. I opened my mouth to reply, but then I closed it. I looked him in the eyes and said, I'm sorry. That was all. Just 2 words. He looked confused. Then he looked down. He said nothing. The bus came. He got on. I didn't feel angry. I felt proud. I didn't lose control. I didn't ruin my day. Later that week, I saw Tia near the bakery. She was buying bread. I almost turned away. But something inside me said, stop running. So I walked up to her. She looked at me. I said, hi. She said, hi. We stood there for a moment. Then I said, I was wrong. I was not kind to you. I'm sorry. Her eyes were soft. She said, thank you. That means a lot. I said, I miss our talks. She nodded. Me too. Then she smiled. A small one, but real. I felt like crying, but I didn't. We stood in the sun like 2 old friends finding a small bridge between us. Things were not perfect. Some days were still hard. I still felt angry sometimes, but I started to pause. I started to ask myself, is this moment worth it? Most of the time, the answer was no. Not every rude word needs a reply. Not every problem needs a fight. A few weeks later, something big happened. I got a message from my cousin Rena. She wrote, can we talk? My hands shook. I read the message again. I said yes. We met at a small cafe. She came in wearing a blue scarf. She looked nervous. I looked nervous too. We sat down. I said, I'm sorry. She said, I know. Her eyes were wet. Mine too. I said, you were not wrong that day. I just felt small. I acted in a bad way. She held my hand. She said, thank you for saying that. I said, I missed you. She smiled. I missed you too. That day we laughed again. We walked by the river. The sun was soft. The sky was wide and clear. That night, I felt something I had not felt in a long time. I felt peace, not just outside, but inside too. I saw that I didn't lose people because I was bad. I lost them because I didn't know how to stop myself. But now, I was learning. Slowly, gently. I made a new rule for myself. If I feel angry, I will wait. If I want to shout, I will walk away. If someone is rude, I will not fight. I will stay still. I will keep my power. I will not give it away. And if I do something wrong, I will say sorry. I will say it with an open heart. One evening, I was walking home. A car stopped too close to me. The driver shouted, "Move faster!" I stopped. I looked at him. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I took a breath. I walked away. A few years ago, I would have said many bad words, but now I didn't need to. That man was angry, but I didn't need to join him. I kept my peace. I kept walking. A few days later, I was with Rena again. She said, "You seem calm now." I said, "I am, Trang." She said, "It shows." That made me happy. I never thought I could be that person. The calm one. The quiet one. The kind one. But maybe I could. I started helping my neighbor. I helped her carry her shopping bags. I watered her plants when she was away. I smiled more. I listened more. I said less. And people began to come close again. I did not feel so alone. I wrote a small sentence on paper and kept it near my door. It said, "Peace is my choice." I read it each morning. It helped me remember. Life is full of noise. People will speak badly. People will hurt us. But we can still choose peace. I started to feel strong in a new way. Not strong like shouting. Not strong like fighting. But strong like water. Soft but sure. Light but deep. People did not fear me now. They smiled when they saw me. They asked how I was. And this time I had an answer. I said, "I am okay. I am learning." One day, something happened that showed me how much I had changed. It was a Sunday. I was waiting in line at the market. A woman behind me kept pushing her cart into mine. First, I thought it was a mistake. But she did it again. I turned around. I looked at her. She looked back and said, "Why are you so slow?" Her words were sharp. Her face looked angry. I felt the old fire rise inside me. My hands felt warm. My breath changed. I wanted to say something. I wanted to fight back. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. I looked down for a moment. I took a slow breath. Then I looked at her and said, "I hope your day gets better." That's all I said. Nothing more. She didn't reply. She looked confused. Then she looked away. When I walked home, I smiled to myself. A real smile. I didn't lose anything today. Not my words. Not my peace. I had kept it all. That was new for me. That was strength. Not loud, not fast, but strong and deep. Later that week, I saw a man yelling at his son outside a shop. The boy looked scared. The man kept shouting. People passed by, but no one said anything. I wanted to say, "Stop," but I remembered my own story. I knew shouting at him would not help. So I stood nearby and waited. When the man stopped to breathe, I walked over and said softly, "It's okay to be tired, but he is still just a child." The man looked at me. His face changed. He did not speak, but he held the boy's hand and walked away. That moment stayed with me for days. I had helped in a small way, not by shouting, but by staying soft and steady. That kind of help stays longer. I also began to understand why I used to react so fast. It was not just about the people. It was about me. My anger was not new. It was old. It came from my past, from small things I never spoke about, from moments when I felt ignored, from times when I wanted love but got silence. I had never healed those parts of me, so when someone hurt me in the present, I felt all the pain from the past too. It all came together. That is why I exploded. But now I was learning to feel the pain without passing it to others. I was learning to hold it, name it, and then let it go. I also saw that not every fight needs a winner. Sometimes walking away is the best answer. Sometimes silence is louder than shouting. Some people don't want peace. They want power. But I didn't have to give them mine. I didn't have to join their storm. I could stay in my calm. One afternoon, I went to visit my aunt. She is old and wise. She gave me tea and said, "You seem different these days." I said, "I am trying to change." She smiled and said, "I can see it. You used to carry fire. Now you carry water." That sentence stayed in my heart. I didn't need to burn everything. I could cool things down. I could bring calm. Some weeks later, I got a call from a place where I used to work. It was a woman from HR. She said, "We have a new position. Would you like to come in and talk?" I was surprised. I thought they forgot about me. I said yes. The next day, I went there. I wore a simple dress. I brushed my hair slowly. I felt ready. The woman was kind. She said, "We've seen your growth online. You seem peaceful and focused now. That's what we need here." I said, "I'm still learning." She smiled. "We all are." She offered me the job. It was a better role than before. I thanked her and said I would think about it. On the way home, I walked through the park. I saw two girls sitting on the grass. talking and laughing. One of them looked like my cousin Rena when she was younger. I stopped and watched them. Then I looked at the sky. The clouds were soft and slow. Everything felt quiet. I said to myself, "You are not that person anymore. You are not the storm." I felt proud, not for the job offer, but for the peace I now carried inside. That evening, I called Rena. We talked for a long time. I told her about the job offer. I told her about the woman at the market. I told her about the man with the little boy. She listened to everything. Then she said, "I am so happy for you. You are really becoming yourself." I said, "Thank you for not giving up on me." She said, "Thank you for coming back." That night, I slept with a soft smile. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel heavy. I felt light, like I was floating. One Sunday, I met some friends at a small cafe. We laughed and shared stories. A man nearby was loud. He was talking badly about someone on his phone. At first, I felt tense. Then I looked at my tea. It was warm and sweet. I focused on that. I didn't listen to the man. I didn't let him take my peace. My friend said, "You didn't even look at him. A year ago, you would have said something." I said, "I choose quiet now." She smiled and said, "It suits you." I kept the new job. The people there were kind. One day, a young girl on my team made a mistake. A big one. She came to me shaking. I looked at her and said, "It's okay. Let's fix it together." She looked surprised. Then she smiled. I saw something in her eyes. Trust. She felt safe with me. That moment was worth more than any prize. I had become the kind of person I always needed in my past. Calm, soft, safe. Now when I feel pain, I pause. When I feel fear, I breathe. When I feel hurt, I wait. I ask myself, is this about now or something old? I answer with truth. I don't lie to myself anymore. That is how I stay free. One night I looked at my reflection. I saw a woman who had learned many things, not from books, but from life, from pain, from mistakes, from silence. I had lost people. I had lost time. But I had found something bigger. I had found peace. And peace is more than just quiet. Peace is a kind of power, the kind no one can take from you. Now, I walk slower. I speak softer. I listen more. I smile more. I still feel things, but I don't break things. I don't break people. That is the gift I gave myself. A new way to live. And if I could say one thing to my old self, the one who shouted, the one who cried, the one who lost too much, I would say this: you are not weak for staying calm. You are strong. You are free. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. More emotional and inspiring stories are coming soon.